I'd like to introduce a business advisor, Mr. Glenn Toby.
Joining my panel this week is Mr. Glenn Toby, a sports agent who represents more than 25 NFL players.
Glenn has taken my career to levels I didn't even think were possible.
What is it, this guy? Because I know you. You're going to call me 1,000 times, tweet me, do whatever you know.
I was lucky enough to have some people around me that knew of Glenn, and they put me in the places I needed to be in.
I'm Glenn Toby, talent manager and super agent to the stars. Superstars aren't born, they're made. I make superstars, I make winners. You're a winner. How do I know you're a winner? Because I only deal with winners. I don't know how to lose. Listen carefully. Everybody wants to know what the best deal is. They want to be dealt in or dealt out. They want a piece of the deal, the whole deal, or nothing but the real deal. Because I'm Glenn Toby, the deal maker. Let's put it together. Glenn Toby, deal maker. Tune in each week and watch how I shape the lives of the biggest superstars in the world of entertainment and sports on how to make a superstar.
He has worked with countless superstars in finance, film, music, and sports. Numerous multi-million-dollar deals with industry moguls and cruiserweight champions. This deal maker is known for turning dreams into realities. And so without further ado, we would now like to present the Tribute's Vanguard Award to Mr. Glenn Toby.
Welcome back to this, the final segment of today's Price of Business, and as always, glad to have Chris Kidd here. Got to keep in two segments, which is always a lot of fun, and we're going to continue talking about one of my favorite topics, which is sports and business, and love the work that you do over at chriskidd.com. That's Kidd, chriskidd.com. Kind of tell us a little bit about what you do, Chris, and then introduce us to your guest today.
Well, I'm a financial coach, so my whole goal in life is to help eliminate financial problems, whether it's a situation where somebody's trying to get out of debt and learn to manage their finances, or it's somebody who needs a little more guidance as far as what they're doing investment-wise so that they can understand what's going on and make better decisions and not really just be at the mercy of what happens. So I deal with people from pretty much all walks of life, from the business owners to I've worked with college students, I've worked with athletes, entertainers, all kinds of people. So anyhow, my main goal is just to educate people financially so that they can eliminate those issues.
Very good. And your guest today?
My guest today is Glenn Toby, and he knows a lot about this and has worked with a lot of athletes and entertainers himself. So he's got an amazing story as well. I hope he'll share that. So good to have you on, Glenn.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you.
We'll start off. Tell us a little bit about your background and your story, because it's pretty amazing.
Oh, thank you. Well, I was born in Queens, born in Brooklyn, raised in Queens, and I'm one of the original guys of hip-hop, one of the pioneers. I was known as Sweetie G. I was homeless from the age of 8 years old to about the 7th grade. My mother had a very violent nervous breakdown, working hard. Didn't compromise her soul, didn't compromise her integrity, and eventually, dementia and the things that happen when you become homeless set in. So I was homeless from 8 to about 7th grade. From the 7th grade, got involved in this thing called hip-hop. And because of the way I was raised, a consciousness, a spirit, loving people, and an understanding for the world, and the good job that my mother did with collective family members, I was able to find a path from using music to eventually going on to managing LL Cool J, working with Charles Fisher, and of course Brian Latour. We did the show with In the House, Quincy Jones, and a couple of albums. We also co-discovered R. Kelly, Sidon, who's on Entourage, David Banner, and different artists.
Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah, that was a good time using the music. So I used it from being this hip-hop guy that came up with, the Dougie Freshes, the Grandmaster Flashes, and all the DJ scene. I was able to transition it to this management thing. I joined forces with Alonzo Shavers, and he had a firm, and we grew that firm to quite a bit of money and sold it. Had a nice exit plan, and we represented Asante Samuel, who was a defensive back for probably the Patriots, the Eagles, the Atlanta Hawks. We got him $60 million. And now we're currently working in the space with wealthy families and Fortune 500 companies and brands by representing and intermodulating for them in different sectors, whether it's raising capital, telling their story, and translating the communication for marketing, or if it's just management. So that's where I am today. along with running our foundation, Book Bank Foundation.
Let me just jump in real quickly with letting the audience know that the website for Glenn is glenntoby.com. That's GLENNTOBY.com. Your next question, Chris Kidd.
Well, Glenn, how did you go from? I mean, there's quite a mindset change, I guess, from growing up in the conditions that you did, and then learning to start building wealth. And I don't know if that happened when you were in the hip hop scene, or if that was something that you learned that along the way, and then is that something that you once you picked it up, you started teaching that to others, or managing, helping others with that, or how'd that happen?
Exactly, just having education, like wanting to learn more. John Templeton, who you know for the Templeton Fund, I studied his amazing work, the Keynesian and Smiths and all these basic general pillars of what financial responsibility and economic feasibility are. So it's all about education. I've had clients who have spent $50,000 in a nightclub, and I have guys who have built businesses that have gone to maybe $10, $20 million in business. The client has to want to be receptive, and the end user has to want a better life for themselves. And if they have a lot of psychological or sociological issues, spiritual issues, they're not going to be able to transcend. So I wanted to transcend from an organic and natural space, and I didn't want to become a statistic. And that's what drove me to go for the education to make every dollar count.
Very interesting, very interesting. And when did you start your firm, your current firm?
It's kind of been just a part of my ecosystem. I became a brand because, obviously they call me celebrity sports agent because I was representing celebrities, obviously people in sports and people in entertainment. So I became an iconic brand in that space. So I was going in the urban space, dealing with poverty through the nonprofit. And obviously Alonzo had, a nice business with the sports piece, and we kind of merged it. So I think many of us are brands. I mean, you guys are brands as well. I mean, this show is a brand. It's a platform. And more of us are brands than we realize. We all have an indelible fingerprint that we can either smudge on the glass or put it on the globe so it lasts forever, even if it's invisible.
Mm-hmm. Got time for one more question for you, Chris Kidd.
What are some of the, and I know you already kind of touched on it, but what are some of the mistakes that you've seen that, some of the people that you deal with that they can make, or, some of the advice that you would have as far as what not to do?
Awesome. It's the initial decision, awareness. Be aware of your value in the marketplace. Be aware of your earning potentials, your upside and your downside. Looking at insurances to protect you, and reinsurances so that you're able to be adaptive in economic markets. 2, be able to count your money effectively with a good CPA and business managers, and be able to count on your money. A stream of income. How do you continue it if some emergency happens? It's all about education. Everybody knows, right? The average term for an NFL player in 4 years, more than 70% of these people are broke. Let's not talk about hip-hop, the rappers, these rock stars. Those guys, their numbers they're more diminutive, and they're more regressive than you could ever imagine. They're living in an ecosystem that's non-existent. It's all fantasy. Got to get to the real numbers, got to get to the real solutions, and you have to respect money if you want money to respect you.
Yeah, very good point. Very good point. A great point to end on at that. Thanks so much for being with us today, sir.
Honor to be here, guys. Keep up the good work.
Yeah, you bet. Do you want to remind the listener again that you can learn more about Chris Kidd at chriskidd.com. That is KIDD, and also about Glenn Toby. And that website is GLENNTOBY.com. I'm Kevin Price. Great show. Look forward to being with you tomorrow for another one. And do want to remind you that the best content here can be found over there at usdatareview.com. Have a great day and spend it right here.